told repeatedly that his plans for January 6th were illegal. He didn't care, and today he celebrates those who attacked our Capitol. Donald Trump has proven he is unfit for office. Donald Trump is a risk America can never take again.
For anyone who thinks that warnings like those from Liz Cheney are efforts to hold the ex-president accountable through the work of the January 6th Select Committee and the investigations on the part of the Justice Department happened in an echo chamber with no capacity to reach any Republican voters, there are signs that that's not the case. There are signs that those efforts might just be breaking through. Take this from longtime Oklahoma Republican voter Jim Young, who wrote this week that while he voted for Trump twice, he no longer supports the ex-president thanks to the work of Liz Cheney and the U.S. Justice Department. Young writes this, quote, after reading Liz Cheney's book, the committee findings, and the DOJ indictment, I do not understand how Donald Trump can possibly be considered as a legitimate candidate for the most important job in the world. Frankly, I don't understand how he is not in jail right now. I will go no further than to implore you, before you cast a vote or support Donald Trump, please take the time to read Liz Cheney's book, or the committee findings, or the DOJ indictment. Joining us now, the aforementioned Jim Young, author of that op-ed. You caught our attention with this, and I want to thank you for being here to talk with us about it.
Thank you, Nicole. Glad to be here. First of all, I'd like to pass a message along to Rachel Maddow. I'd like to tell her that I hate the way she fishes, but I would defend to my death her right to fish.
Well, I like that, and I will make sure she gets that message. She's actually, well, I'll stay out of the fishing debates. Let me ask you how you came to read Liz Cheney's book. Did you see the work of the congressional probe, or did you see her? How did you come upon Liz Cheney's book?
I just saw it on Apple Books, and I thought it was time for me to get into the details. As I said in my editorial, I really sort of stuck my head in the sand, frankly. Tried not to pay attention, tried to wish it away, I suppose. But I'm glad I did. I'd like to clarify one thing. I had already written Donald Trump off right after the January 6th debacle, and so I had made up my mind about Donald, but Liz's book was so well written, so detailed, well documented. I was just really impressed with it, and it just reconfirmed my thinking on the subject. And really, this editorial was designed more as a tribute to Liz Cheney than anything. I told my good friend Jim Sherrick about the book and how impressed I was, and how impressed I was with Liz Cheney's honesty and her willingness to give up her position in Congress to get to the truth. And frankly, I was hoping to figure out a way to get in touch with her directly and just ask if there was anything I could do to help. And my friend encouraged me to just write an editorial, and I'm shocked that it ended up in your office.
Well, so Liz Cheney said this morning, now that the contours of the general election are coming into view. She said this, quote, the GOP is chosen. They will nominate a man who attempted to overturn an election and seize power. We have 8 months to save our republic and ensure Donald Trump is never anywhere near the Oval Office again. Do you agree with Liz Cheney's next mission?
Well, I don't really know what Liz Cheney's next mission is.
Well, her next mission, I'll read it to you again, is to make sure that Donald Trump is never anywhere near the Oval Office again. Are you going to help her do that?
Well, I guess I don't really understand exactly what that means in terms of how she plans to do that, but I do agree with it, yes.
Well, what then, we'll just spitball here, what would you do to help her make sure that never happens again?
You know, I really don't know. I'm sitting out here feeling fairly irrelevant today. We had 300,000 Republican voters in Oklahoma yesterday in our primary, and only 16% of them voted for Nikki Haley and 82% voted for Donald Trump. So I'm not sure. I would be willing to help in any way I could, actually.
Do you think, I mean, it's extra, I guess what I want to understand is the curiosity that you had to read Liz's book and to read the indictment. I've read all these things because it's part of my job in covering these things, and to read the committee findings. I mean, do you think that if more Republicans read those sort of original source documents, they would arrive at, I mean, is part of the problem that everyone's sort of hunkered down in their echo chambers and not reading the material you read?
Well, I don't know. I really can't speak for everyone else. I did suspect, and sort of a secondary reason for me to sort of go on the record here, I guess, is that maybe a lot of other people are in the same shoes that I have been over the last 2 or 3 years, and maybe some encouragement to actually get into the details and really understand what Trump's role was, starting with the day after the election in November of 2020 and right up until January 6th, the riot. And all of his actions and everything he did are very incredibly frustrating, troubling, scary, all of those adjectives, I suppose.